live paint. So I have this, I have it in Photoshop. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to bring it into Illustrator. I'm going to paste it in and then I'm going to live trace it. I'm going to use live trace options and I'm going to make sure I have ignore white on. And then I'm going to increase the blur factor quite a bit and hit preview. Alright, like that. Hit trace. So here what I want to do is kind of fix up these gaps. Here's why. If I go to the black arrow, click on it, expand it. Well, first before I expand it, let me make a copy of it. Okay, so I'm just going to throw a copy over here using Alt. So here I'm going to expand it. And if I go into Object, Live Paint, Make, I have my Live Paint tool. It's located here. Click and hold, Live Paint. And I'm going to use red. Well, if you look here, they have a feature under Live Paint called Gap Options. And my gap options I have set to a really high gap detection. And you can see these gaps. See them? 72. This is what happens. So if I lower this down, you can see that that gap starts going away a little bit. But they're still very sanctioned off. So what I do to counter this, because now I can actually go in here and hit red and I can fill these areas with red, but you can see over in this area, if I try to fill it with red, it won't let me. In this area either. Okay, so let's back the truck up. That's why I actually made a backup copy of this. So here's a better way to do it. After you get done with live tracing it, you can go in and still expand it. But before you make it into a live paint, take the time to use the white arrow and start just double clicking these end anchor points and bringing them closer together. There's another option too, and I'm going to show you that also. It all depends what you're doing. If you're just producing like maybe a 2-color design for a t-shirt, you know, I would go with this option right here. So skinny up that gap and skinny up this gap right here. There we go. And now when I go to make it into a live paint, I can go into Object, Live Paint, Make, then go into the Fill tool, choose red, and I can start filling in these shapes, and it actually makes sense now. See? If I wanted yellow for just this area, I could. Very nice. Fills in very good. All right, let's look at the third option here. Here, what I'm going to do is make a new layer. I have my line work set on top, and I'm in Photoshop. I'm going to use a brush, and I'm going to flat out the piece by choosing a darker red. So here I have HSB. Okay, here's my darker red, and I'm going to take my darker red and make it 100% opacity, and just take the time to flat out the piece. Now this takes a little bit longer because, you know, I don't have that automatic just fill this area in feature that I had back there. But I do have the ability to close these gaps off with color. Oops, not like that much, so. I do have the ability to erase here very quickly too. whatever works, works. That's my point. A lot of times, students, they'll know that there's one finite way to do things, and boy, is that wrong. It all depends what kind of style you're trying to go for. So here, I have this. I'm going to make a new layer, and on the new layer, I'm going to lower the opacity down on the brush and start picking a little bit of a lighter red. Okay, and then I'm just going to do one of these, do one of these. Okay, and then I'm going to turn a darker red. I'm painting these back objects. Okay, again with the lighter red. I kind of like going over the top of the one red here. A little bit brighter of a red for these very up close. Using this a little bit sparingly. And I could go with as many colors as I want here, but I'm just kind of putting this down. Now I can use Alt to kind of grab those colors and start stacking them on top of each other, what colors need to be. I'm being very loose about this. I want a painterly look. And I'm just going to trim up this stuff. Maybe I'll go for an orange band or something. Maybe yellow. Again, I'm going to pick like a dirty yellow to start out with, like an ochre. And work my way up. Using Alt, I can just repair these areas very quickly. All right, so I got something a little bit more stylized. Now, let's take this and hide the line work. And go Edit, Copy, Merge. And let's bring this into Illustrator. Okay. Do my live trace options. In live trace, I want to ignore white. I want to blur it by a little bit. And I want to use 6 color preview. Okay. Just going to increase that blur value a little bit. Also going to place it right over the top of the other one. So I'm going to hit trace. Go into the move. I'm going to take this one and go to that multiply feature that I had before. So multiply. And that way when I put this one on a different layer in the background, so move it to this layer, then move it down. I can move my line work right on top of the hat. And now I have this very cool type of vectored look that I was searching for. Okay, here's my line work, so I can lock that one out. And if anything that went over, I can go quickly hit expand. Okay, so this is my line work. Let me hide that real quick. And this one, I want to expand that. Operation cannot be because the layer is locked or invisible. Well, okay. There we go. Even though that's the one I didn't want to unlock, but that's fine. So with that one locked, I can now go to this one and just clean up the piece using the eraser tool. Just like that. So if I have anything that's laying over on the side, I could quickly get rid of those. And it won't hurt the black lines. See, black lines are fine. Also, I noticed that there's this white area on the outside edge from the expand. I can go into the direct selection tool and delete that out. I can also repair the color. Let's say this piece right here, this yellow piece, I want to take it and make it so it fills in the entire area. Well, I can quickly do that using the blob tool. All right, so there's my vector hat. Small example. If I want to resize it, I can go in here and group it together. And if it's not grouping right, I have to put it all on the same layer. So here I can put all these on the same layer and then object group them, and they should group together quite nicely. Yes, there we go. So everything has to be on its own layer or on its same layer in order to group it correctly. All right, so that is my vector hat. Enjoy. Just clean up any line work when it's in a layer mode though, because anytime that you put these two together, it is going to be very hard to separate them out enough to use the eraser tool. Just know that. Use your eraser tool before you drop the two layers together, because if you don't, it is almost impossible to repair. All right, enjoy.